He built an empire bigger than the Ottomans. He humiliated rival kings, crushed powerful armies, and had European nations begging for his friendship. Yet today, almost nobody remembers his name. His name was Uzun Hasan, and for a few dangerous years, he was the one man who might have stopped Mehmed the Conqueror in his tracks. Uzun Hasan was born around 1425 in a city called Amida, which we now know as Diyarbakir in eastern Turkey. His grandfather, Kara Osman, had founded a Turkoman confederation known as the Aq Qoyunlu, or the White Sheep. When Kara Osman died, his family tore itself apart fighting over the throne. Out of that chaos, a young Uzun Hasan rose to the top by 1453, the very same year Mehmed II captured Constantinople. Two powerful men, two rising stars, born into the same century. One would conquer an ancient empire in the west, the other would carve out a massive kingdom in the east. Uzun Hasan's name literally means Hasan the Tall. Visitors who met him described him as thin, tall, and surprisingly friendly for a man who commanded tens of thousands of soldiers. But friendliness never stopped him from being ruthless on the battlefield. His biggest early enemy was not the Ottomans. It was a rival Turkoman dynasty called the Kara Qoyunlu, the Black Sheep, led by a man named Jahan Shah. These two powers fought on and off for around 20 years. Finally, in 1467, Uzun Hasan defeated and killed Jahan Shah, wiping out his greatest regional rival in a single stroke. That victory changed everything. Suddenly, Uzun Hasan controlled huge stretches of land across Iran, Iraq, Azerbaijan, and the Caucasus. Then, in 1468, he defeated another major power, the Timurid ruler Abu Sa'id, and captured him during the fighting. Abu Sa'id was later executed by a rival prince. Within just a few years, Uzun Hasan had become the strongest ruler between Anatolia and Central Asia. A Venetian ambassador named Ambrogio Contarini actually met Uzun Hasan in person during this period. Contarini also noticed something odd. The ruler's hands trembled whenever he lifted a cup to drink. Small details like that remind us he wasn't just a name in a history book. He was a real person, aging on the throne while still fighting to hold his empire together. Naturally, this kind of power made everyone nervous, especially the Ottomans. Mehmed II was busy expanding westward, but he watched the east carefully. Uzun Hasan wasn't just growing stronger, he was also making friends in exactly the places Mehmed feared most. He married Despina Khatun, a Byzantine princess from Trebizond, tying himself to the last remains of Greek royal power. He also opened talks with Venice, the Ottomans' bitter naval enemy. Venice saw an opportunity. If Uzun Hasan attacked the Ottomans from the east while Venice pressed them from the sea, Mehmed's empire could be squeezed from both sides. Venetian ambassadors like Caterino Zeno traveled all the way to Tabriz to convince Uzun Hasan to join the fight. Promises of gold, weapons, and naval support were made. He agreed. In 1472, tensions boiled into open war with the Ottomans. His forces struck near Erzincan and pushed deep into Ottoman territory, even reaching Akshehir and burning the city of Tokat along the way. For a moment, it looked like his gamble might actually work. But the promised Venetian ships never really showed up in force. He was fighting Mehmed's war machine mostly alone. Then came the summer of 1473, and the battle that would define both of their legacies. At a place called Otlukbeli, near Turkan in eastern Anatolia, the two armies finally collided directly. Uzun Hasan brought a huge cavalry force. Some accounts describe tens of thousands of horsemen. But the Ottomans had something his army couldn't match: disciplined Janissary infantry and powerful cannons. On the battlefield, gunpowder beat horseback courage. The Battle of Otlukbeli was a disaster for Uzun Hasan. His forces were crushed, and his own son, Zainal Mirza, was killed in the fighting. It was one of the most important battles of the 15th century, and it confirmed something huge. Anatolia now belonged to the Ottomans, and nobody from the east could challenge that again. Uzun Hasan's story went the other way. The defeat marked the beginning of the end for him. His authority never fully recovered. Even his own family turned against him. His son, Uhurlu Muhammad, rebelled and eventually fled straight into Ottoman arms, later marrying Mehmed's own daughter, a bitter twist considering the two empires had just gone to war. Despite the defeat, Uzun Hasan wasn't finished as a ruler. He still controlled a massive kingdom stretching across Iran and Iraq. He focused on building an organized government, hiring skilled Persian administrators, supporting Islamic scholars, and starting legal reforms that were so effective the Ottomans kept using parts of his laws decades after his death. He also built stunning architecture, including the famous Hasht Behesht Palace in Tabriz. Uzun Hasan died on January 6, 1478 in Tabriz, reportedly around the age of 52. His empire didn't die with him, but it never regained its former strength. His sons immediately turned on each other, fighting bitterly over the throne. Within a few decades, the once mighty Aq Qoyunlu state collapsed completely, swallowed up by a new rising power, the Safavid dynasty. So what's left of Uzun Hasan today? A man who built one of the largest Turkoman empires in history, a man who allied with Venice, married Byzantine royalty, and came within one battlefield of possibly changing the entire direction of Ottoman history. And yet, while Mehmed the Conqueror became a legend remembered for centuries, Uzun Hasan quietly faded into the footnotes of history books. If you find stories like this fascinating, make sure you're subscribed, because there's a lot more hidden history from this era still waiting to be told.